Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to my quiet, lovely, beautiful, peaceful, affordable, comfortable, and partly cloudy retirement community, affectionately known as...
Del Boca Vista?
That is correct. This is the new and reset independent, nonprofit, non-aligned, informative, semi-entertaining, and non-monetized live Docs Report. Docs Report encompasses citizen journalism with commentary, opinion on topics that interest me, and currently I'm going through my UAP phase, UFO. I am a student of truth and self-discovery that has improved my daily living and will continue to do so, and aliens or alien civilizations or UAPs are not a threat to me. The Docs Report can be found on YouTube, Twitter, X, and Rumble. Email docsreport@fastmail.com. Thank you for viewing, liking, subscribing, following, and live commenting. Above all, say it together, keep spiritually centered. What's up for today? What do we got going on? A rough outline. We're going to touch on the Canadian election. Dr. Gary Nolan, James Fox, David Grush, on Joe Rogan, podcast number 2065, George Knapp, Harry Reid, Robert Bigelow, Mike Pompeo, Goldwater, Barry Goldwater, General Curtis LeMay, artificial intelligence, and what is life? Alphabet soup. Because they have their own language with the UAP community, the UFO community. And there's certain names that pop out that you should know about. You really should. So 7 people watching across 3 platforms. I had a great week. Did all my workouts Monday. Well, I only do 4. But I work in the yard, and wintertime I can go out there. The insects aren't buzzing around, so they don't. But that's in the wintertime. But in the spring, but we haven't had the rain. I thought it was safe, but man, they ate me up, and it's right around the ankles and the feet because I'll wear like beach shoes that are kind of open or they have hole. These gnats are eating me up, and itches like you cannot believe. And I tried the aloe vera gel with 0.5% lidocaine. That worked for a while. But I couldn't sleep at night. I'd wake up and it was just, I was scratching until I was bleeding and then I was blistering. It's not fire ants. It's just these damn biting gnats. They call them, and then I'm sure I got a couple of mosquito bites, but they're on my feet. It's like, anyway. So I was talking to this nurse. I talked to a couple at the fitness center. Every time I see them, I say hello to them. And they're the ones that recommended, well, she was a practicing nurse, and then she recommended the surgeon, which, speaking of which, it all worked out well, because I'm back doing my leg raises, sit-ups. I'm toning it back a little bit, but it's all worked out. But so she gave me some suggestions on how to, because I think maybe I got some of these in the house. I don't know how they got in here, but the garage, but they're flying around, but those may be fruit flies, but I picked up some stuff today. I'm going to set traps for them. Anyway, I thought, because when I work out at the fitness center, my feet perspire and I have socks on, but it just itches like hell. So now I'm using isopropyl alcohol on my feet. It stings, but then the itching stops. That's the only way I can get relief. So, in fact, when I went to bed last night, I didn't have any itching. I couldn't believe it. So I went to bed at sunset, which is really early. It's like not even 8 o'clock. And then I got up at 2 o'clock just to check the markets, because all the gloom and doom and all the global media, globalist media and corporate media, we're going into depression. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. So I looked at my scorecard. What is it? I want to be accurate here. Finances, scorecard, 2025. Now, I track everything, not when he took office, but January 1. January 1, S&P 500 was 5882. It's currently 5687, so it's only down 3.3%. So I'm happy with that, man, because I was down big there for a little bit. But you just write it out. You have to write it out. You have to relax, take it easy. Now, there are some things I don't have any political clips. I got a couple on Canada, but I don't do, I'm not really doing the Trump political stuff, unless there's, big news, like they signed a trade deal with China or India or something. But anyway, I'm going on the X account, and he reposted something he put up on Truth Social. I'm not going to show it to you, because it wasn't complimentary, and I'm scratching my head. Why would he put that up there? It shows him as the Pope. Somebody did, a graphic and switched out the Pope's face for his face. And I thought, why would he put this up there? And I think, wouldn't that piss off the Catholics? And he's there, and I'm just going, that I don't understand. So my neighbor, who happens to be Catholic, he's the ex-military guy. So I got up so late today because I went back to sleep, because I got up at 2, was up for a couple hours, and I went back to sleep. And I didn't get up till daylight. And I thought, oh, God, I'm up late. My day is shot, a slow start. And I go, wait a second. I can turn this around, or I can let God turn this around. Said my prayers, got the bed made, started to clear my head. And I thought, you know what? I have my list here. I don't care if I'm late. I'll go get fuel, go to Wawa, hit Walmart, and then come home. I can still get it done. I can hit a home run today, get it done. So I go outside, and the military guy is there. And I say hello to the other neighbor, the one who took me to the hospital, waved at him, and then I went down and talked to the military guy. Well, he's going to Wawa because he always gets, and then he's got to go shopping. Because I was going to give him a ride over there, but then I got to do an errand. He doesn't want to go to Walmart. So anyway, I said I'd meet him over there. I went to Wawa. First I got my fuel, topped that. Beautiful morning. It was cool, a nice breeze. It was in the 70s, like 74, 75. Now it's kind of warm. What is the weather? It's 85 degrees Fahrenheit. That would be 29 degrees Celsius, 47% humidity, wind 13 kilometers per hour. That'd be 8 miles per hour. Let's give you the money shot. Where's the money shot? Hang on. And they are out there golfing. So I talked to my neighbor. I got fuel, and I sat down with him at. I saw him coming out he was coming out when I was going in, and they don't have any Cuban coffee. Well, he's pissed. So, no, I met him inside, I think. Yeah, I met him inside, and he says, they don't got any Cuban coffee. And I go, well, I go Colombian. And so he purchased his at the register, and I was messing around. I don't like shopping with my phone, but I got rewards on my phone. So it's like I can get a free coffee today, and it says any size. So I just will get a 20 ounce. And I got the Colombian. It was good. They're so big on the creamers. They have their own brand, quarts. They got Irish cream, French vanilla, hazel, all of them. So I always go with the Irish cream. So I follow him up to the register, or he's already out. I go to the register, and I've been talking to the woman. And I said, well, you're out of Cuban coffee. And I'll bet that guy wasn't very happy, was he? And she just, frowned and nodded her head. I go, that's my neighbor, but he's a little rough around the edges sometimes. So I went out there and had a good chat with him. But he's Catholic. So we're sitting outside, beautiful, the palm trees, 75 degrees. It's nice and cool, wind's blowing. I tell him about this Twitter post that Trump did. He's the post of the Pope. Like, why would you put it out? And he just started laughing. He said, well, they're always trying to get him, and he just doesn't, because they can't get things done. And I remind him they don't want to get things done. The left doesn't want to get things done. They want to control you. They want to put the screws to you because you're the problem. So he laughed it off. So, okay, I get it. So Trump is really laughing at them. He's putting it out, and his popularity still goes up. And the markets have come back almost to first of the year. So, and I guess we are going to get a trade deal here somewhere, the tariffs. So that's about as political as we're going to go today. I'm back on my UFO, because when I grew up as a kid, they were known as UFOs. Well, now they're UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and they don't even like that. So now they're going unidentified anomalous phenomenon. But it's all back to the same thing, UFO. So that's what I was showing you. hang on here. This is this was for Chili Badger, actually. This is the clearest photo you will ever see of a UFO. It's a 35 millimeter. It was in Calvin, Scotland. Two guys out hiking. They took multiple photographs. Of course, they were confiscated. And those two guys have since disappeared. I think they may have been told, to lay low. But it's Calvin, Scotland, Calvine. You can Google it. It's the clearest picture of a UFO, UAP in history, in case you're curious. I just want to know. I'm on that kick. I'm average Joe. I'm not part of the UFO community. I'm not here to make money. It's a public service announcement. I enjoy streaming, and I hope the audio's okay because I gave Morty's back. That's some local news. Morty's back, opened up his diner. Right off the bat, his audio is of the poorest quality you can imagine. So I gave him a hard time. So I hope you can hear me. I gave him a hard time on X. It's up on X if you want to look at it. So plenty to do today, plenty to cover. If you want to comment, that would be great. It's really open for anything you want, but I'm focusing on there's been things have changed because now you have congressional hearings. I didn't think that would ever happen. So that's the good news. Beautiful shot. I watered my succulents too. They're having a hard time. All right, so I do have some notes here. Just so, let's go Canadian elections. Do I have any on the Canadian elections? Hang on. Because I put this show together during the week, and then I forget what I got up here. We do have a lot of Dr. Gary Nolan. Now, he's a key player in UAPs. And he said some really interesting things. Okay, so I guess the only thing I can say on Canada is, the Liberal Party's back in power again. This is in Western Canada is just not going to put up with it. So let's take a look at Western Canada. There we go. And there are the provinces and all the oil and energy. Let me get a cheat sheet here. My eyes are pretty bad. Even on I got a 24-inch iMac, but still. Canada, here we go. All right, there's the Canadian map. You can probably see it better than I can. Let me make it a little bigger. Hang on. Other way, Lex. Here we go. So going west, I guess starting at Saskatchewan, all the energy's in Alberta. And they got some big cities here. Calgary and Edmonton, they got their million of, those are million population cities. But that's all the energy. And they're tired of being, and they have to pay for a lot of things, but since it's a minority government, all the way on the other side to the east is Quebec. They don't want any pipelines. They'll support the minority Liberal Party if no pipelines, absolutely no pipelines. Well, Alberta's listening to this. They're not going to stand for it. So you can imagine they've eased up the ability to have secession from the country to get out of Canada. Now, it's in the Canadian Constitution of the provinces. So there's a legal process they can go through. They can run a referendum. It doesn't mean they become a state. That's something else. I don't know what Trump's doing on that. Sure, he wants a free trade deal. Maybe they'll keep their independence completely in Alberta, in a sovereign nation, or Saskatchewan will go with them, maybe British Columbia, Northwest Territories, Yukon, who knows. But it is happening unless they can come to the table, unless the new minority government comes to the table and allows energy. Alberta's said they've had enough. So I'm watching it, and I do have some channels up there that I listen to. So let's click that off. I don't think I have any material on that. All right, let's go to David Nolan, Dr. Gary Nolan. He's a big deal. in the, in the UAP community. So let's see what he has to say. Oh, before I do that, there's a couple more photos I have to show you. Now, doesn't that look like something slid into going right to left? See that? What does that look like? Doesn't that look like a, and what is this? Hang on. Banners. Okay. This is an official NASA photo of the Martian surface of Mars, taken by the Hertz camera aboard the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. I don't know what that thing is on the left. Is that a natural? It doesn't look natural, does it? Here's a close-up. Is that weird? I don't know. But I don't know. So I'm not putting any evidence on this thing at all. But it is interesting. It makes you think now, because we know the government admits to it. There are unidentified aerial phenomena, UFOs. They're real. They're on radar. The government is having hearings on it. So still the best one you'll ever see is this thing, Calvin, in Scotland. There it is. There it is. Chili badger there. You want a nice clear photo? There it is. And there's a Harrier jet. Circled it like 5 to 6 times. And it just hung there until it took off. And then the guys in suits showed up and they confiscated the film, but they missed one photo. So there it is. Now let's get to Gary Nolan. Dr. Gary Nolan. Full show. We got a full show today. Oh, I do have one thing on Canada. I missed it. Here it is. Citizens Initiative, Danielle Smith. Now, she's the premier of Alberta.
We are expanding opportunities for Albertans to be involved in direct democracy by making changes to the threshold needed for successful citizens' initiatives. The signature collection time for citizens' initiatives will be extended from 90 days to 120 days. We are also improving the process by setting the threshold to be 10% of the number of eligible voters who participated in the last general election.
We'll see. Good luck to you. All right, enough of Canada. Dr. Gary Nolan, what about him?
I just to restate the same point once more, it's just remarkable once you get into this topic. I don't know if mainstream is the word, but it's not fringe at all. So just to kind of to accentuate that point, explain your background for our viewers, if you would.
So my main job, my day job at Stanford for the last 30 years has been the development of technologies to look at cancer and blood. And so we've spun a number of companies and sold a number of companies that we started out of my lab. 2 of them are actually on NASDAQ. And the idea has always been that if money is coming in from the NIH, we should give back to the public. And so in the process of developing some of these, we developed an instrument called CyTOF, which is really all about studying blood cells at a deeper level than anybody's been able to do before. And so it was circa 2011 or so when some people from the CIA and an aerospace company came to me to ask me for their help on the analysis of some individuals who had encountered some anomalous objects, they said. And I mean, they came to my office unannounced and then started laying out pictures and data on the table in front of me. And I honestly thought it was a joke. I thought it was.
Wait, so you're a Stanford professor, an immunologist doing medical research and building companies, and all of a sudden one day the CIA shows up at your office?
Because they had asked around and said, okay, we have these people who've been injured. And one of the things that they wanted to do in a complete medical workup of these individuals was to look at the blood. It's a natural thing to do. If you're looking for an inflammation, the blood is one of the places you might look to get a sort of a more complete list of everything that's going on in the body. And so that's when somebody said, well, if you want to do this, do it properly, you got to go talk to this guy Nolan at Stanford, because he has the world's best instrument that he's developed for doing it. And that's what started.
That was the initiation into the darkness of UFO and alien life and alien ships. Dr. Gary Nolan, crash retrieval.
But let's unpack this notion. Let's unpack this notion of crash retrieval. Okay, the first question that often gets asked by the public is, if these things are so advanced, how do they crash? Or why would they crash? Well, I mean, I think that tells you something about if it's true that there are crash retrievals, it tells you something about the technology that is operable behind the scenes. It means that it's probably not as stable as you think it is. It's sort of like they're running on they're running across a high wire. It's a high wire act, if you will. And it doesn't take much to bring one of them down. Everything from an electromagnetic pulse or a lightning storm or a nuclear bomb or something going on nearby, it would be enough to bring these things down. But what happens if the actuality is that somehow these things are being there are ways to make them show up, and when you make them show up, you find a way to bring them down. Not that I know that this is the case, but you have to imagine that might be what's going on. So if that's in fact what's going on, then that means that if it's ever discovered how that is operational, then anybody could possibly do it, right? And so that means then that if there are teams that are doing this, what happens if any members of those teams were at one point or another to decide to go public?
Yeah.
And what does that do to the operation? And what does that mean for how other governments might take advantage of this? And I mean, if the U.S. government is doing it, and it's one of the things in science that I know is that once I know something can be done, then I start thinking very hard about how else I might accomplish the same goal. So if it's now basically an open secret that these kinds of reverse engineering programs and crash retrievals are being done, you know that no matter how broad the net that the Department of Defense might cast across the planet to be able to go after any of these things that comes down, there's going to be a few that slip through the cracks. And when they do, and you better hope that there aren't some darn good scientists on the other side of that curtain, and they get that information out, it's a Pandora's box of problems, in my opinion.
Fascinating. Dr. Gary Nolan, peekaboo.
I mean, I see you, and you are, really just a collection of particles that have no actual form, right? You just, at a higher level, you have matter, and I perceive you as a person. But at the end of the day, there's nothing there. You're just a bunch of waves, and we interact with each other through waves. Well, what happens if there's senses below yet still our full understanding using physics that are just on the edge of believability, that are actually the manner by which these things interact? So there's, and let's address one thing. There's claimed telepathy with these things. Well, I don't think that means it's magic. I just think that means it's a kind of technology that we don't. I mean, I can, there are devices that can transmit sound into your head from a distance, right? Use the resonance cavity and transmit sound, to you. So, again, Elon Musk is making a neural link. And maybe a sufficiently advanced civilization can reach into your brain with electromagnetics, very finely targeted, and can manipulate your brain in a way that allows you to hear or see things. I have no problem believing that somebody a million years ahead of us
might have achieved that level of sophistication.
I accept that this is certainly a possibility, but the question is, how likely should we think it is that this is possible?
I assign no probability. I just
You
say,
just want to.
I just want to have it on the table,
Mhm.
you know, and it's
Vibrations. Waves were just nothing vibration. It sounds a little like quantum mechanics. We're here. You think we're here, but there's really nothing to us. And if you can call them down, I think he's talking. I don't think you can call them all down. I think it's the Tic Tacs that he's talking about. But it's just very interesting. Gary Nolan, Garnolan. Now we're going to go with another one. Feel free to comment, but I'm going to keep going.
Because you can't know, right?
right. But I think the better way to do it is to convince people that the data is real.
Wait, let's move back just one sentence.
Yeah.
So without putting your professional credibility, reputation on the line, et cetera, you're around people who study this stuff for a living, who are
Right.
the most knowledgeable people on this topic in the
Yes.
world.
Yes.
What is their general sense of what this might be?
That this is not from Earth.
Right. That it's not from Earth, that this
Right.
is these are aliens, essentially.
And, you know, until I see a piece of technology that does something I don't understand, or until I see an alien body, I'm going to also remain skeptical.
Of course, as you should.
But it doesn't mean I won't study it. And people say, well, why, if you're so skeptical still, you're studying it? Because it's the most important thing that could have ever.
Of course, but that's why we cover it on the show. Not because I have no special knowledge. I know nothing, really. But
why couldn't-
by definition,
Yeah.
it's the most important. So is the general belief that these objects, whatever this is coming from outside our atmosphere, or that it's coming from beneath the oceans?
Both, I think. I mean, whatever it is, it's clearly been here for a long time. And it doesn't necessarily care so much about us, but in terms of, you know, if it wanted to wipe us out, it could.
Clearly, obviously.
All you got to do is go out to the asteroid belt and push a big rock our way, and that's the end of us with the next dinosaur
Yes.
problem. So the next question is, well, if they've been here all along, before we were even civilized, well, whose planet is this really?
And do you think that there is evidence that this is an ongoing thing?
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know if you know the astronomer and venture capitalist Jacques Vallée. You've probably heard his.
Of course, yes.
And so he's actually a good friend. You know, he's written books about the matter, showing that if you go back into the historical records, things written by the scientists and philosophers and mayors and kings of the day, you know, it's in the record. This object was seen, it looked like a wheel, or it looked like a shield, and it showed up over our battles, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So you can go back and recontext the observations and say, well, if somebody wrote that today, I'd call it a UFO.
I'm not so much interested in the historical record, okay? You can use your imagination on that. I want to know what can help you today. Today, right now, try to have some kind of understanding of where we're at with the UAPs, UFOs, aliens, and such and such. Now, whose planet is it? I'll tell you, Dr. Gagliano, it's God's planet. God created the heavens and the earth, period. So that doesn't, you know, it doesn't threaten me at all. And interestingly enough, Tucker Carlson no longer covers UFOs, because I think I saw that somewhere. And he says, because I'm a Christian. Well, okay, so what is it? I don't know what that means. Maybe he can explain it, but it doesn't threaten my beliefs whatsoever. Okay, now this I found really interesting. Biological robots? What?
Did any of the people you interviewed see anybody in control of these craft? See any?
Not in these cases, but in the injury cases, I do know of cases non-injury associated where things were seen.
What kind of things?
Little beings. I don't know what to say.
I know it sounds crazy. I don't know what to say. Like what the eyewitness accounts say.
Yeah, the eyewitness.
You're not ratifying this.
I'm not ratifying it. No, the eyewitnesses always talk about something about that tall, right? With, you know, they call them the Greys. I don't know what to say.
But with humanoid features.
Humanoid features. Now, I have a problem with humanoid features. because, one of my backgrounds is evolutionary biology.
Yes.
And so I don't see the possibility of something else evolving on another planet that looks like us. Unless God is intervening in very specific ways, almost anything, an octopus could become intelligent and fly around the universe. So I think that part of what we're seeing here, look, if you're an intelligence, are you going to go down on a planet with a bunch of angry monkeys who might kill you? No, unlikely. You'll send some intermediary. Well, what kind of intermediary are you going to send? You're going to send something that maybe almost looks like them, but isn't them. So I think, and this is, again, from inside the intelligence community, most of what we think we're seeing are avatars, biological robots that are basically put there to be the minions, if you will.
And that's the current view of the intel community.
It is a hypothesis. To me, if I were going to another place, or if I were going to study a native tribe of, let's say, cannibals, maybe I wouldn't show up in the middle of their village so that I don't inadvertently become dinner.
Yes.
Right? So you would send an intermediary first. But I've used this example. I don't know if you know Lex Fridman. You probably know Lex Fridman. He's an interviewer. He's an AI scientist at Stanford. I did one with him. And using an example of the ants as well. Let's say that there were a race of intelligent ants at the bottom of your garden. How do you tell them about Instagram? Right? How do you talk with them? How do you interact?
Oh, yeah, I was saying they were they had their brains. I forgot the term I used. Lobotomized. But no, I like this term. Biological robots, avatars. They just give you that blank stare, but there's nobody there. They're there to perform a mission. So, if I understand it correctly, for at least the Greys, the people that built the ships, they don't travel on them. They built these biological robots. And I guess you don't want to get tangled up with them because they carry disease, for a better word. If you get to see all the films from James Fox, you'll understand. And which I do recommend that. If you're going to see one film, say, Lex, okay, I'm kind of curious, what film would I recommend? I would recommend The Phenomenon. You can watch it on YouTube. Doesn't cost you anything. It's very good. So let's go. A couple more on Dr. Gary Nolan. Close, but no cigar.
Say this, I was working with a group about 7-8 years ago, and I literally got within a few weeks of gaining access to one of the objects. And when the people who didn't want us to gain access to it found out about it, they pulled some bureaucratic administrative tricks and snatched it away.
He was almost there. He almost got to see one. Final clip on him. Threatened. This is what happens when you get too close.
Why amnesty is required. I've said this publicly, so I'll say it again here. I was personally threatened because I knew of a conversation that happened somewhere. And I alluded to it in the most elliptical fashion on a public broadcast. Literally a couple of days later, I get a phone call from a friend saying, XYZ at the White House is really pissed at you, and you should not ever say anything like that again because Title 18 applies. I said, what does that mean? Lethal force is operable. I'm not kidding you.
Oh my God.
I put down the phone and I honestly, I nearly broke down in tears. And I called a reporter friend of mine to just basically report it to them, to say, this just happened to me. I was just threatened. Mm-hmm. Because they knew what I was saying. Nobody else would have known what it was what I was alluding to.
Regardless of whether or not it's aliens, if they think you're disclosing their secure information, you might not.
Well,
be
I
safe.
wasn't supposed to know it because I heard it from a friend who wasn't supposed to tell me in the first place. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, okay. Let's just finish up this segment. I've only got a couple more vids left. Let me set this one up. Give me a second. Hang on. I do my homework. All right, here we go. You're familiar with the Pompeo. And he's discussing JFK files, and he said something interesting. Let's play it.
And last thing I'll say is there are things that happened 60 years ago that are still important to keep in the vault. There are lots of things that happened that long ago that still are appropriate not to release. Think of names and addresses and families. And by the way, there's also no value in them. These don't hold the dark secrets that everybody wants to just hold up as the bogeyman. I saw the UFO files too. We've got bigger problems. In America, lots of bigger problems. Just because something is kept secret, why not go to the darkest corners?
Now, he was talking to John Stossel. John Stossel didn't even mention UFOs. So why would he say that? Now, let's see exactly what he said. Okay. There's the first paragraph, second paragraph. And by the way, there's no value in them in the JFK files. They don't hold the dark secrets that everybody wants to just hold up as the boogeyman. I saw the UFO files too. Really. We've got bigger problems. What, the UFOs? America, lots of bigger problems. Just because something is kept secret. Now, why did I space that out? Why not? Not go to the darkest corners. And that other one that's spaced out up there is keep the vault, keep in the vault. So let me read this from the beginning. And the last thing I'll say, there are things that happened 60 years ago that are still important to keep in the vault. There are lots of things that happened that long ago that still are appropriate not to release. Think of names and addresses and families. And by the way, there's no value in them. And these don't hold the dark secrets that everybody wants to just hold up as the boogeyman. I saw the UFO files too. John Stossel never, questioned him further on the UFO. It was all about JFK. Pompeo continues, and he was a CIA director at one time, so he should know. We got bigger problems. America's lots of bigger problems. Just because something is kept secret, why not? ? Not go to the darkest corners. So because I couldn't figure out that last part. Why not go to the darkest corners? He said it quickly, but I think what it really means is why not? He's asking why not? ? Not go to the darkest corners. Why do we have to go there? Well, we want the truth, don't we? I want to know the truth, but they don't think we can handle it. So that was Pompeo. Get rid of that. Boy, this is going to be an easy show. I can do an hour with all this info here, but you're all welcome to comment. We only have 11 people watching. Let's see. Oh, remember Barry Goldwater, don't you? Let's listen to Barry Goldwater. Do I have notes on him? No. Barry Goldwater. Now, General Curtis LeMay, he was the top Air Force general in the World War II. And Barry Goldwater is like a first or a second star general in the Air Force Reserve. And Goldwater discusses General LeMay.
I think the government does know. I can't back that up, but I think that at Wright-Patterson Field, if you could get into certain places, you'd find out what the Air Force and the government knows about UFOs. Reportedly, a spaceship landed. It was all hushed up, quieted, and nobody have never heard about much of it. I called Curtis LeMay and I said, General, I know we have a room at Wright-Patterson, where you put all this secret stuff. Could I go in there? I've never heard him get mad, but he got madder than hell at me, cussed me out, said, don't ever ask me that question again.
Ah. Okay, let me go back to my notes. It's just a general outline of the show. I want to make sure I cover everything. But it's going to be easy. Nobody's commenting. Pretty day. Oh, beautiful. The succulents look so beautiful. Where's my notes? Hang on. Okay, Dr. Gary Nolan we covered. Boy, I got a lot of stuff. Mike Pompeo we covered. Goldwater we covered. General LeMay we covered. Okay, now I have here alphabet soup. I was looking around for my avatar directory. I threw that out. Oh, which reminds me, since I deleted all my material off of YouTube, they didn't like that. YouTube didn't like that. They took away my advanced features. It just means I can't pin anything, and I can't embed on websites, but I don't think that's big a deal. I do miss pinning. Oh, what the hell? Maybe I should just read it to you. Hang on. I know I made a graphic. What did I do with the graphic? I'll just read it to you. I got to go to my Gmail account. Oh, hi, Doc's report. As of now, your channel doesn't have sufficient channel history. It has lost access to advanced features. This may have happened because your channel did not follow community guidelines. No, it's because I deleted my history. How this impacts your channel. You won't be able to do things like get higher daily limits for, I don't need that. Embed live streams, I don't need that. Pin comments, I miss that. Add external links to your video descriptions, I miss that. So I want to get those two things back. How do you restore access to advanced features? This is YouTube in an email to me. You build positive channel history by following community guidelines. Okay, so I just got to build up my history. Or provide video or ID verification for quicker access. Why would I do that? No, I'm not, I don't even know what that means. I'm not doing that. I think they wanted my driver's license. I'm not giving them my driver's license. That's crazy. So, back to the notes. Okay. All right. What do we got? That's all done. There was discussion last time on a certain person. I think Jay Graysweater, I think this is the guy he was talking about. Now, as far as I know, this guy's name is Jeremy Corbell. He is known for his documentary work exploring real-world mysteries in the fields of UFOs, advanced technology, and the dark space where science confronts the abnormal. And Jay Graysweater thought he was something else, and I didn't agree with that. So I think this is who we were talking about. Now, he was in Congress sitting behind whistleblower Gresh, David Charles Gresh, and on the other side was George Knapp. So, but I just wanted to clear that up, get that on the record. Now, you want some alphabet soup? Here we go. If you hear the term ASAP, stands for Advanced Aerospace Weapon Systems Application Program. That's the reverse technology they want to do, right? If you hear ATIP, that stands for Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. I think they got it. They've done away with that. I think that was headed up by, what was his name? I can't think of it right now. Lorenzano, something. Len. Oh God, that's a future show. I got to do a future show on him. That guy's name is. I don't know if I have it. I'm going to do a whole show on George Knapp's statement to Congress. There's so much in this statement, and we'll pick it up there because that's another show in itself. I'm just looking at some more displays here. Oh, and let's see, a skiff. A skiff is. See, when these gentlemen and women testify in front of Congress, they say, well, we'll go into a skiff and I'll discuss it with you, Senator or Congressperson. It's a sensitive compartmented information facility. It's a highly secure room where the classified information can be discussed, stored, or processed. So during the hearing with David Gresh, he offered, Congressperson, I can't, I'll discuss that with you in a skiff. They haven't done that yet. The powers that be are saying no to this. Now Trump's in there, so we'll see. Maybe eventually it will be declassified. I'm just trying to prepare you for that day, bring you up to speed, so it's not a total shock. Oh, we finally get a comment. 50 minutes in. Biff. He's a stock market guy. All right, that's okay. I'm glad you're saying something. Biff, one of the stock market geniuses I follow is saying to buy Palantir stock 2 weeks ago. They have defense contracts for Amy and guidance of something, Pelosi, stock going up. Okay. That's Biff's advice. My advice, never, ever buy individual stocks because you are not sophisticated enough to do that. I'm saying go S&P 500 and do dollar cost averaging. Systems. He had systems. Okay. But again, don't buy individual stocks. If you're young and working and your family, I was a single guy, but so never married, no kids, no divorces. So I hung on to my money. And I had a 401k. That's how I invested. And I want to be a EDMM. And I'm working towards it. But the S&P 500 has to go up like 6%. Then I think I want a cushion. Biff... Palantir has shot up in the last 2 weeks. Okay, but again, you're gambling. You're trying to buy low and sell high. You're gambling. It's single stocks. Don't do that. And I'm not a Bitcoin advocate. If you want to dabble in it, that's fine. But if you're working, don't be dollar cost averaging Bitcoin. You should be going into the market. Well, Lex, you're only saying that because you're in the market. Well, that's the safest place to be. So are the large unions and the teachers union and large 401ks, they offer that. So, but they're not, again, I would treat Bitcoin like gold. If you want to own a little bit, then own a little bit, but that's not your investment vehicle. That's not your retirement vehicle. You don't want that as your retirement vehicle. George Knapp. Now, why do I have that? I have this. Why do I have this here? Well, I did cover this. Well, let's get this out of the way. You know, Morty's back. He did a trailer, 10 minutes, the worst audio you can imagine, but he is back. He hasn't done a show since, but I wish somebody could get over there and fix his audio. I don't have the patience. Just ask him, if you do help him, Google Chrome was designed, StreamYard, if he's using StreamYard, I don't know if he's using StreamYard. He's on a PC, I'm on a Mac. But StreamYard was designed for Google Chrome. Not Google, but Google Chrome. So use Google Chrome, and you've got to adjust your mic within StreamYard. This software is in StreamYard, your audio software. So if anybody wants to get over there. Oh, here we go. I had it all along. Advanced features. This is what they took away from me. This is Google. I do want to pin comments at external links. I'll have to get that back. I don't know how many hours I need, but I'll just, you know what? I'll just put a show together every week. Get something to, and I'm learning quite a bit. Robert Bigelow. Okay, this is George Knapp. Hang on. So I gotta, we're going right along here. Well, I guess that comes later. Because I don't have any more video. What did I do with that? Okay, but again, they're individual stocks. Stay away. Biff H. Several brokerage firms are buying and selling lists of stocks that are in the accounts of major politicians, the so-called Pelosi stocks. Okay. Okay, that's the Biff's. I don't endorse that whatsoever. Do not buy individual stocks. That's all I can tell you. Why do I have this up here? You know what? I'm just going to have to show it to you. Robert Bigelow. And that's an important name. I'm having a hard time reading it. Hang on. Okay, this is George Knapp. And that's the reason I have Harry reading the thing. Let me... Oh, hang on. I can't see it. Why don't I have a copy of it? Let's see. Met in 1989 related to FEO mystery. He was a billionaire businessman named Robert Bigelow, who owned vast real estate and hotel properties in multiple states. Bigelow began funding private UFO investigations as well the work of UFO organizations. UFO to date. He has spent, Robert Bigelow, now this is a private guy, private sector. He owns, I think, budget hotels or something, budget suites. To date, he has spent more on his own money on UFO investigations than any person in the history of the world, tens of millions of dollars. In 1996, Bigelow created its own research organization, the National Institute for Discovery Science, with a science advisory board made up of PhD-level academics, 2 of the former astronauts who had walked on the moon, and several scientists who worked for or consulted with the U.S. military and investigation agencies. So once again, so that's the NIDS. It's private. While working on the inside, they had learned bits and pieces about classified UFO investigations and special access programs. The NIDS advisory board members put their careers and reputations in risk in order to pursue truth and transparency. After NIDS became its own became its own investigations and projects, I informed Senator Reid about the organization and arranged an introduction. Reid attended one of the first board meetings of the NIDS and was impressed by the professionalism he witnessed and the pedigrees of the world-class Science Advisory Board. The connection that was made between Reid and Bigelow proved to be fortuitous in many ways, and it's directly related to the inquiry you have launched 27 years later. Not only that, but George Knapp kept him abreast of everything. He had a personal relationship with Harry Reid. How cool is that? Oh, you know what? I have some audio. That's right. I'm sorry. Oh, here we go. No wonder. No wonder I couldn't find it. It's not video, it's audio. Well, now we got to go back to Canada because I got to clean up this audio. I'm sorry. I do all this research, and let's go to Canada. Once more to Canada. Here we go.
Separation sentiment in Alberta and Saskatchewan have traditionally been around 10 to 16%, but with absolutely no campaigning in the last little while, it has risen to 30% in Alberta and 33% in Saskatchewan. Imagine what will happen now that Carney has been elected. Within 6 to 9 months, there will be a petition for a referendum to secede from Canada. That will follow very shortly, and I predict it will happen before the end of this year. And with very little campaigning, I think it will be successful. Once Alberta and Saskatchewan are no longer part of Canada, well, BC will be isolated and they'll follow suit. And then because nobody is footing the bill in eastern Canada, well, Quebec will vote to secede, isolating the Atlantic provinces. The Atlantic provinces will petition for statehood, but they'll be denied. They will, however, be allowed to join the U.S. as territories. So that'll leave Ontario and Manitoba as Canada, and nothing else. So within 5 years, and probably a lot sooner than that, the United States will gain 3 states, 7 territories, and North America will have 1 new country. But that's...
All right, well, we'll see what happens. Don't know. Don't know. Okay, now I found my material. Now we're going to start cooking. I forgot I had a separate audio folder here. All right, let's go to James Fox. Where are you, James Fox? Okay, this is the filmmaker, the phenomenon. Mr. Fox, James Fox, what can you tell people new to the UFO? It's becoming mainstream now. When I was a kid, I believed that they called some of this stuff ball lightning. Oh, no, you didn't see a saucer, so that was ball lightning. I bought into that. And I just kind of lost interest after a while, right? So it's changed now. The government's big in on it. They want the weapons. They want to be, reverse engineering. They want to protect we the citizens. So what do you have to say to the new people, Mr. Fox?
I would say that they're to learn, if you walk away with nothing else, that there is an unprecedented push for transparency by a bipartisan group of lawmakers that's happened since primarily the revelation of a secret Pentagon UFO program on the front page of the New York Times back in December of 2017. And that they're taking it seriously, that the implications are beyond anything just within the United States, kind of global, right? And that we should be paying attention, and we should also continue supporting our representatives during this push, because they're really holding the intelligence folks' feet to the fire. They're writing legislation for whistleblower protection. It's unbelievable. I mean, I had a friend of mine who's been skeptical for decades, and rightfully so, fair enough. But he watched it. He goes, I wouldn't believe it if it wasn't coming out of the mouth of people that I know. Like, how?
Okay. That's good advice, I think. What about the whistleblower David Gresh? What did you think of him, Mr. James Fox? Filmmaker, UFO. He's been studying the UFOs and crisscrossing the globe for 30 years. What do you think about that whistleblower?
allow him in the skiff with members of Congress. And I think it's one of the things that Brian Bender outlines beautifully in the film. And he says,
right.
one thing I've learned over my 20 years in Washington, D.C. is that if Congress finds it out, it's going to leak and you're going to find it out too. So the intel communities, DOD, has been doing everything they can to prevent Grush for going into a skiff. And that's what I'm told.
Wow. Well, okay, but I'm not a congressman, but I want to get as much information and share with my audience that I can, that you can use, the good stuff. I'm not asking you to go subscribe to any, my channel just for UFO stuff, because once I stop running out of information, then I'm going to, stop covering it. All right, now hang on, let's go. I got to prep now. Because we're going to listen to David Grush. The next clip, and I got to get the PDF because I want to show you what he said. Oh, hang on. I should have had this all ready to go. Get rid of this one. Let's put this in. No more. Well, this is going to be an easy show. I've done an hour, and Biff's the only one that commented. And thank you for commenting, Biff. Let's see. Get rid of that. Go back to here. And we're going to present. Share screen. Share screen. And let's go here. Add to stage. And I blow that up. I think this is what I'm going to have. Audio. Biologic. Grush.
Yeah, the interaction stuff, it's a sensitive area. There were multiple very senior people that were concerned about talking about that kind of stuff with me. I mean, that is certainly, as nuts as it sounds, that was a real subject of conversation. Even it sounds like something out of like Star Trek First Contact.
What he's talking about is the inhabitants, the ETs, the aliens on some of these UFOs.
It doesn't if you have vehicles.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so it's like once you realize the phenomenon's real, then you realize we've recovered artifacts and, biologics or, dead pilots, if you will, even though it's, kind of creepy to even think about that in your worldview.
See, I don't know what that means. What do you mean by worldview? That we have dead pilots on this planet all the time that in real plane wrecks. So once you realize we've recovered artifacts and biologics or dead pilots, see if you're Dr. Gary Nolan said they're biological robots, so they're not even alive. So is that what he means? They're dead pilots, if you will, even though it's kind of creepy to even think about that in your worldview. I don't know. Let's continue.
You don't think they were ever, alive sometimes too, right? And I'll leave it at that.
What does that mean? Because they're robots, they're biological robots. Now it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? I mean, that's how I interpret it. They're not thinking about the family they left behind. They're just, they've been programmed, and they've been put in biological outfit. Even though they don't, they got appendages that look like arms and legs, but they don't look that human. So isn't that interesting? Let's see, then you realize we've recovered artifacts and, biologics or, dead pilots. Okay, we've covered dead pilots. That's fine, if you will, even though it's kind of creepy to even think about that in your worldview. Maybe it just means that creepy to take a dead pilot. I don't know. You don't think they were ever alive, alive sometimes too, right? And all I'll leave it to that. So maybe he's saying, not only did we get them dead, we also got them alive. You don't think they were ever, alive sometimes too, right? No. crashes. I think that's what he means. Maybe not the robot thing, but I think we've got them alive. Dead or alive, we got them. We got them on ice, or we're taking care of them. I guess that's what it means. Oh, got a comment. Thank you. Biff. Biff is with the financing here. Some people believe EU leaders were working with Biden Democrats using deep pocket left-wing donors like Soros organization to stack elections. Not to say conservative parties are innocent as well. Okay. What's your view on aliens there, Biff? I'm curious on that. Are you believing the evidence? Do you think there's anything to it? What else have I got on David Gresh? Whistleblower. Okay. Old Harry Reid's popping up here.
Explained some of his efforts during OSAP, and I was like, holy shit, did the former majority leader just say, did he just confirm this to me as well? You know, I was already talking to these amazing high-level people, but I have Harry Reid literally saying, yes, we have material, and, you know, he knew it was non-human.
Did Harry Reid have
Harry Reid, New Yorker.
Read the FOIA document. It was like, you know, Harry Reid, James Inhofe, Lou Elizondo, etc. And I'm like, why are you asking for the most serious sap to be created for a program that ostensibly is looking at Skinwalker Ranch and stuff? And it doesn't make any sense. So what really happened there, and, you know, Harry Reid, God bless his soul, made this disclosure a couple weeks after we met in the New Yorker, and you can look this up. I think it was like a May 2021 New Yorker story where he says, I knew for decades, and he made this disclosure, not me, so I'm going to say the name of the contractor. Harry Reid said this. You know, we knew that Lockheed Martin had this material for decades. I tried to get access, and I was denied. And specifically with the Lockheed Martin stuff, he was talking about during the OSAP program. And for the people who are on this program, I submitted this shit to DOPSR, got this cleared, so don't freak out, but I'm telling the truth here.
I believe you. Now, I had that New Yorker article. What did I do with it? This is what pisses me off. Okay, there's my folder for today's show. Display PDFs. Okay, that's not it. Audio, Harry Reid, New Yorker. What did I do with it? It's not under my research material. Did I throw it out? That pisses me off. Oh, I got it. New Yorker. I want to get Harry Reid's quote right. And anybody wants his PDF, I'll send it to you. The New Yorker article. It's 41 pages, all right? So it's quite a few pages. I'm not going to display it. I'm just going to read it to you so I get the quote right. "33, 34, 38, 36, 7, 8, 9. Okay, page 39. And let's get this displayed. Hang on. Here's the New Yorker magazine. Article, April 30th, the New Yorker, how the Pentagon started taking UFOs seriously. This was April 30th, 2021, page 39 of the PDF file. Okay, here we go. I'll read you the paragraph. I'll start off. Something Keene had never actually claimed. He left no doubt in our conversation to his personal assessment, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now this is Harry Reid. I was told for decades that Lockheed had some of these retrieved materials. In other words, crash material, right, from the UFOs. He said, and I tried to get, as I recall, the classified approval by the Pentagon to have me go look at the stuff. Now, he eventually made it to Senate leader, and he doesn't even get it. They would not approve that. I don't know what all the numbers were, what kind of classification was, but they would not give it to me. He told the Pentagon. He told me that the Pentagon had not provided a reason. I asked if that is why he'd requested. Okay, now this is the reporter saying, I asked if that is why he requested a SAP status for the ATIP. SAP means a simplified application process for the, remember what I told you what ATIP was? Because I don't remember. What is ATIP? ATIP is Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. So not only are you supposed to identify if there's any, what the material is and all that other stuff, but how can we reverse engineer it, right? So back to the article. The New Yorker, he said, okay, after the reporter asked him, is that why you'd request the SAP status for the ATIP? He said, yeah, quote, yeah, that's why I wanted them to take a look at it. But they wouldn't give me the clearance. So he just admitted back in 21 that Lockheed had some retrieval materials. I was told for decades that Lockheed's had some of these retrieved materials. And he tried to get in to look at it. They wouldn't let him in. They didn't give him the clearance. So there you go. Let's get rid of that. Hang on. Biff. I can't put that up there. I'm not alleging that. I don't even want to read it. I can't put that up there, Biff. Biff. Can't do that. So, Harry Reid, New Yorker. I played that for you. What else have I got for you? I guess I got to take an hour to prep the show I do to make sure I figure out because I did all the research and I forgot where I put some of this stuff. Okay, Harry Reid, New York. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to get into some interesting things. This is Gresh. Now he is an interesting guy. Air Force. He was working his way up. He had top clearances everywhere. And he was part of the Congress's job is to do oversight on the executive branch. But you can't get in some of these organizations; they're not going to let you in. And so, and he got to the point where he was frustrated that you, the taxpayer, are paying for this. And this gets into a whole when they say can of worms, because. Think about it. If you're turning material over to Lockheed, right, there was no bidding process. You can't do that. Why don't you get other companies? The other companies are going to sue if they find that out. Well, they're getting this information and these ideas, and we weren't involved in the bidding process. So that's one of the reasons. So I got to display a PDF for this. Okay, here we go. Hang on. Trauma. I think David Grush is a patriot, really. I have to get, okay, present, share screen. Here we go. Follow along. I got a transcript that I made, and I'm going to play the audio from the beginning.
Wore my oath 18 years ago, and that sounds hokey, but I believe, integrity first, service before self, and excellence all we do.
You got to display it, Lex. Start over.
Swore my oath 18 years ago, and that sounds hokey, but I believe, integrity first, service before self, and excellence all we do. That's the Air Force motto. And I'm like, this is not going to help me personally. Like, love talking to you. I like.
Now, when he says love talking to you, he's talking to Joe Rogan. This is from the Joe Rogan show, and I think I put it in there. If you put in Grush, Joe Rogan, this is from that episode.
Spreading this message because it's the right and ethical thing to do, but this is a nightmare for me. I don't want to be public. I've served the country in clandestine and covert operations for 14 years. I've done technical intelligence for some of the most high-profile takedowns in U.S. history.
Now, when they say high takedown, I'm not in the military. I've never been in the military. When you do a takedown, that means you've hit a target, right? An individual, like a terrorist, a missile to the car or something like that, a takedown, I think.
I shouldn't even be here, but I am because I want to see change. I saw something unethical and unmoral. I want to make sure I hold that element of the government accountable. And it was the right fucking thing to do. And I get kind of emotional about that because, my career's been service and sacrifice. And, I had 2 friends of mine die, and I've talked about this publicly before. And I'm segueing a little bit, but the suffering of the American intelligence officer is something that, for their service of their country, and we're not talking about this subject, obviously, people don't realize the kind of trauma intel professionals go through. So, first of all, I had a friend 6 months after I got back from Afghanistan. His name is Captain Dave Lyon. There's a park in Peterson Space Force Base named after him. I remember seeing his coffin come off the plane and stuff. So, I saw him die. That fucked me up for a number of years, and that's what gave me a lot of my problems that I ended up dealing with. But then I had I remarried, and then my best man, Captain Ben Heine, Air Force Intelligence Officer, Air Force Special Operations Command. I've known him for years. He's my closest friend, best man at my wedding. And then 28 days later, unfortunately, he suffered from depression, and it was, as his best friend, he didn't even confide in me. I remember chit-chatting with him on the phone one day about 28 days after he was my best man, and he didn't tell me anything was wrong with him. And a few hours later, he walked in his backyard and shot himself. And I gave his eulogy at his funeral, and that really really affected me. And with what Ben experienced, which I can't get into all of the stuff he did, obviously, but imagine being the guy that decides that person is bad, fire the hellfire. That person is now pink mist. They're dead. You just played God. Let's go back to, the wife and kids at the end of your shift. And a lot of that, I did the same kind of thing. I did a lot of stuff overseas, involved interrogations and, ops that where you had to decide if a target is bad enough where you're going to affect their life forever and their family's life forever. And that's the silent suffering of intel professionals, especially during the global war on terror, which was, 21 years or so.
Yeah. I mean, just because you're, not on the battlefield, but you are through the high tech stuff. But thank you for your service, David Gresh, and I think he's a patriot coming forward. Remove that. And one more here on David Gresh. That's spelled G-R-U-S-C-H, David Charles Gresh. And if you put in Joe Rogan Experience, G-R-E, then Gresh, you'll go right to the episode. Secret Club, the Club Secret. Do I have this on a PDF? No, I got something else. Because they got into a whole discussion about life, which, you know, I have my spiritual beliefs, and so I'm going to put this up last. But let's hear about the club.
Black programs I was a part of in my career. It was almost like you got that secret society vibe where it's like if you're a career government servant, your salary's not that great, but knowledge is your currency. And what makes you special? What rice bowl do you control? And I remember getting read into some stuff that like it was like the president and very limited number of people getting read into. And I was one of them because I was operating a certain thing for a certain op. And, oh, you're part of the club, you know, like only 30 people are cleared or whatever. And I'm like, I don't get off on this shit. It's like, it's just so weird. But like these like lifers, and I hate to, you know, talk so matter of fact about it, but like it's kind of disgusting to me because it's like this like it's weird. It's just like a weird like Gnostic cultish thing. And you know, I lived that community for 14 years of my career.
And people really do enjoy having information that other people don't have access to.
I was like, I got a secret. And like that's why I whistleblowed. Okay, so I know this shit's real. I know we're not alone. We have stuff. No shit. Am I going to sit on my ass for 30, 40 years? I'm an old man. I look back like, I had that secret. I knew about it, but I didn't do anything. I didn't change. So I couldn't just keep that secret because I thought it was just perverse and wrong that the people don't even at least get to know the basics. It's insane. So,
well, I think he's a patriot. I'm glad he came forward. And, you know, it ruined his career. He resigned his Air Force commission. 12 people watching. So those, there, 1 hour, 25 minutes. But I got to go through this last PDF because I thought it was fascinating because towards the end of the show, what episode was that? I should tell you if you want to know. I don't want Joe Rogan after me. So if you go to YouTube and you put in GRE Gresh, it'll give you, here it is, the Joe Rogan Experience. Hang on. I want to copy that. And you can go watch the whole thing. It was a hard thing to listen to for me. But it was like an hour, it was a 2 hour, 41-minute show. But, you know, you get names, you get, you know, that I can look up later and that kind of thing. So here is did I spell his name right? Gresh, there it is. So go listen to the Joe Rogan show. There it is, the Joe Rogan Experience. You just put in GRE and then the name Gresh. It'll take you right to, well, look for the full episode, 2 hours and 41 minutes, episode number 2065. Interesting, you know, just preparing you, because I think there are some things more important than whether spaceships have landed or aliens. We got to get the economy going. We got to live and work and, you know, have a strong economy and safe borders and all that stuff. But these things are, and I'm going to do another couple of shows on some, because I got some articles, I just have to go through them, and but I want to get this out of the way. I've got enough material now for 2 more shows, but there's one more PDF I want to show you. It is David Grush and Joe Rogan talk. What is life? And that got me going, you know, because I have certain spiritual views and beliefs. So Joe Rogan, get rid of that. Get rid of that. And we're going to put this up. What is life? Go back to StreamYard, and we're going to share screen. What is life? PDF. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I can criticize Joe Rogan, but I don't, what's the point? You know, I don't agree with what a lot of stuff he says, and mostly on this life thing. But Biff H. Rogan, Joe Rogan, the Joe Rogan Experience has very interesting topics. No wonder his ratings are through the roof. Okay, you ready for this? Why did I do that? Hang on. Don't want that. I want this. Here we go. Now, the show's basically over, but I'm doing a little piece on analysis between this. Conversation between Joe Rogan and David Grush. And I gave you the episode number. Let's see, what was the overall message? I don't know who's speaking here. Yeah, it was like this, you know. No, I think that's Joe Rogan. What was the overall message? Yeah, it was like this, you know, there's a message of love, which still has positive, but it was like interconnectedness. Okay, now they're talking. Everybody is kind of connected in a way that they don't really realize. I mean, you think about this is getting really trippy. No, there's only one life in the multiverse. There's only one life, God's life. What interconnects us? We have God's presence within all of us. We're just a manifestation of the mind and spirit. So we are interconnected. The closer you are to God, the closer you are to everybody. It's not the aliens. The aliens is not giving you anything because you already have it. A lot of thoughts with people who are smarter than me. I like to talk to them about, I got to get my soundbite ready. This is what kind of, where's my soundbite? Oh, come on, where's my soundbite? I got to get this all tuned up. All right. I won't be able to hit it as fast. Let's see. A lot of people are smarter than me. I like to talk to them about this kind of stuff. It has nothing to do with smartness. You have it within you. What did the rabbi of the New Testament say? Who by taking thought can add 1 cubit to their stature? You already are. A lot of them, let's see, like to talk this kind of stuff where if you say a higher dimensional science, right? Now this is Grush talking. The act of creation. So act of creation for 3D beings is having a baby, right? It produces another 3-dimensional object, okay? But life does not come from you. It passes through you. It's producing another, okay, well, if you're in a 5-dimensional space, because we don't know if these aircraft or these spaceships are from a different dimension or a parallel universe or somewhere else in the universe, we don't know. I guess 4-dimensional physical space, what is active creation? Creating other conscious realities and other universes. And the act of creation is creating a universe where you, me, Jamie, whatever, we might be connected to the same. I call it universal consciousness, mind and spirit. Yes, that's God. Okay? You can't develop into anything. You cannot evolve spirituality. You already are. Or higher dimensional sentient life force or life form. I know this sounds really out there, but when you think about it, there's a lot of other theologies out there that basically expounds that, I think. I have a very good friend of mine who's a PhD level, higher up in the Mormon Church. I had to get that in there. And basically, the Mormon theology is kind of like that. Listen, you can belong to any religion you want, okay? I'm not. The Mormons say you were once with God or like God. I don't speak for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but it's interesting. Here's Joe Rogan and David Gresh, the UFO whistleblower, talking. This is right on. This is towards the end of the podcast. The Mormons say you were once with God or like God, but then you were sent down to like a lower plane of consciousness, and that's literally what I'm talking about right now, but just in a secular sense. So maybe we're all created beings from, and this doesn't like hurt Christian theology, whatever. It's actually kind of enforcing the fact there's a creator, and we're literally created in the image of creator, literally. Don't get hung up that you were made in God's image. That means a lot of different things. Metaphysical, yes. You were made in God's imagination. The image, you were made in God's image. In other words, God has an image of you. The perfect David Gresh, the perfect Joe Rogan, the perfect Docs Report. You have that perfect image in God's mind. So God thinks of you, has created you, but you get an extra bonus. You've got God's presence within you. You already have it, but you haven't discovered it yet. What was the Buddha? The Buddha was awake. He never talked about God, but he said he was awake. The Gita, Krishna came out and actually said it. Fools pass blindly by. Here I am, just sitting here, your soul. So if you want to, if you spent just I would just say to Joe Rogan, if you just spent, or David or James Fox, spend a little time searching for God. Forget the aliens. Because he even said, I think James Fox, I got him on the audio, he says, you know, I've done this all these years and I know certain things, but it really hasn't helped me. You find God, it will help you. You'll still have problems, but you have a better way to handle them. So anyway, I thought this was interesting. And for it's a creator, okay. And that's what life really is. It's like, think about it, it's like a weird 3D plus time, temporal, sensory experience for a higher dimensional sentience. You're here to experience time in this weird linear fashion and to experience yourself divorced from yourself, to gain knowledge and to report back is maybe what life is. Okay, that's one opinion. I don't think so. You're supposed to come down here, think of this as a spiritual penal colony. We're all selfish, or we're all a little messed up, and we've lost our true being, our true knowledge that we are one with God. So we're here to discover ourselves. Search for God, not aliens, and if the aliens are out there, then they must be part of God's world or God's universe, because the infinite intelligence, infinite God is in charge of everything. There's nothing outside of God. We may not understand it, we may not like it, but that's the way it is. And love thy neighbor. Well, what if your neighbor's from another universe or another dimension? Love thy neighbor. Now, do you have to love a robot, a biological robot? Nah, I don't think so. They're not really sentient. I don't consider them. Do they have a consciousness? They have an intelligence, but they're programmed. So that's a tough one. That one I don't know, and I don't even have an opinion on it. And that's just kind of my own personal theology, the summation of just did during COVID. I was really bored, and that's what I was looking at. All right, there it is. And I thought it was interesting because they're really, universal mind and consciousness is God. It's not something else. All right. What did we do? 1 hour, 36 minutes. We got comments. Biff, he wants to talk about, who does he want to talk about? He wants to talk about Joseph Smith. Didn't Joseph Smith have experiences with ESP and dream prophecy? I'm not going there. I was going to say I was raised. I was raised in an alcoholic home. By definition, I'm an adult child of an alcoholic. But up the street was the Mormon church, which I attended, and I was an elder. But I have hence left, and I threw the baby out with the bathwater. I became an agnostic, which was my fault. But I found something much better. I found God. But I'm not going to speak for the LDS or the church. You go check them out, Biff. Just put on a white shirt and a tie and go. They got plenty in California. There's plenty churches out there. But I'm not going to be doing a show on Mormonism. Okay, that I'm not going to do. Sorry about that screw up, because I forgot I was going to discuss PDF files too. So I do my research, and I thought I had the show kind of laid out, the vids I did for the most part, but the other stuff was kind of hidden in a different folder. 1 hour, 37 minutes. I'm going to hang around here for a bit. We've got 15 people watching across 3 platforms. There must be something on today. I'm not getting any viewers. Or maybe they're just, you just prepare yourself. At some point, they're going to release it. They're probably, maybe after Trump finishes up his final term in the election, before he leaves office, he may just put it out there for everybody. I don't know. I'll tell you he knows. He knows exactly what's going on. And Marco Rubio, he knows exactly what's going on. These guys are up to speed. But the average members of Congress, no. And I know it's disturbing, but it's like I think you're better off if you have some knowledge on the subject, so you won't be totally shocked when it happens. What am I looking for? Okay, I want to know how many's watching this on YouTube. We got, terrible. 5 people watching. So we got 5 people on YouTube, and the rest, the 11, are either on X or Rumble. Beautiful day today. But I gotta get my channel backing up. I got to keep doing. I got to at least do 1 show a week if I expect to have my advanced features turned back on. And I was scared when I first got the letter. I thought, what if they kick me off of YouTube? Then I would have to just go to X and a Rumble. But I guess I would be forced into doing that. But if you want to check out my X account, just go to Docs Report on X. I have now. There was actually a UFO panel May 1st in the congressional thing, and it's led by Lou Elizondo, and that's a name you're going to be hearing more about. And I've got some clips off of that. I rounded up. And I also got a clip on this guy. Lou is presenting a photograph of a UFO that was taken by a civilian pilot. And his point was, where does he go with this? Who does he contact? They're happening all over the globe, but nobody knows that nobody wants to be ridiculed. They don't want to. So, and he's trying to, you got to get Congress involved. And I got some business clips up there. Again, the stock market is doing great. It was really volatile there for a while when it dropped 1,000 points. And I go, here we go. But the last 8 days, it hung in there. It all stayed up. Made me feel better. Mark T. Docs, you're like a favorite rock station of mine that has gone all country for me. Well, it interests me. Doesn't it interest you at all? Are you a believer? I mean, you're in New Mexico, Roswell. I thought that was real deal, man. That thing came down and left debris everywhere, and there's a lot of technology. See, this is where the other companies, corporations, are going to. If they find out that they weren't allowed in the bidding process of this material, they are going to sue. Because you know what came out of this, and I think I said this. Roswell. Where is Roswell? StreamYard. Hang on. Oh, here we go. Maybe see, when they take an idea to these companies, they got it from the recovery vehicles, the UFOs. So let's say these corporations work on it and say, we can't help you. They still have the idea, and they're still going to be working on it in their own way, right? Integrated circuit board came with fiber optics. The company made a lot of money on that. Night vision optics. The more laser development. We got laser weapons now. What else? I just think it's they kind of got to pass some laws before they can then discuss it openly, I believe. Well, I'm sorry, Mark. Mark says, I'm interested in the aliens of the Archieverse. Only you can report on that universe as well. Well, I'm going to have to run out of material before I go back there. I really feel, I put a lot of time in this, searching this stuff, because I'm at ground zero, or was at ground zero. I just never, I used to listen to George Knapp. We interviewed, what's his name, the engineer, Bob Lazar, who claimed he worked at Area 51. But I'm not researching Bob Lazar. This has gone to a different level. This is now in Congress. They've admitted to it. Harry Reid in the New Yorker admitted we have a spaceship. That is over. The genie's out of the bottle. So I want to learn as much as I can legally. I'm not a hacker. I also found, I got to tell you what I found. I couldn't believe I found this. And I hope I don't get in trouble. If you don't see it, if I get a knock on my door, I won't be able to show it to you, but you'll never guess what I found. I found a schematic of one of these. Now, this is a new term. I want to tell you what it means, so let me get my terminology out here. Oh, let's see. Research material. Here we go. Alphabet soup. Okay, TUO, Technologies of Unknown Origin. There was a UAP task force that morphed into AARO, which is All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, current UFO program approved by Congress. But now here's one I've never heard of. ARV, RVs. You ready for this? Alien Reproduction Vehicle / reproduction vehicles. Reproduction. In other words, the only way I finally dawned on me, I have to study this, 'cause I'm not the smartest, I'm average, Joe average. Reproduction, no, they re-engineered some of these spacecrafts. And I got a diagram of one. It was really wild. I'll name you the parts on them. Now, if I get a knock on the door, they're going to take my IMAX, but I didn't hack it. I just got into it. I went over something, and then I tried to get back in, and I couldn't get in. But all I did was Google it, and it popped up. In the very center, you have a inner mercury vortex tube. Off to the right, you have Tesla secondary coil, an outer tube. You have a hatch door. I see a crew sitting. You got a two-man crew in there. You got a homopolar generator flywheel. Off to the left, on the top of it, you have a camera. You got a pilot seat. I see the pilot seat. You got a control panel, the copper coils, explosive bolts for emergency ejection, a foldable robotic arm. This is in a future show. You got the primary coil, the Terrace. It's kind of blurry. The Tesla primary coil. You got oxygen tanks, and I thought this is wild. How can I find this on Google? What? So we're going forward on this because I enjoy doing the show, and I enjoy doing the research. Oh, well, thank you. Mark T., you do your homework no matter what the subject. Respect that aspect of your channel. Or I wouldn't do it. I got to get some enjoyment out of it, but I just lost enjoyment. If you're new to this channel, I was covering, there's a very thriving wristwatch hobbyist people are really interested in their wristwatches, and I am too. In fact, I'm wearing my Edifice, and if you think G-Shocks are too big for you, Mudmaster, what's the another one? The Rangemaster. If those are too big, and the diving watches, this Edifice, it's still a large face, but it's very slim and it's more refined. And I'm wearing it today. I love it. I do wear the Apple Watch when I'm working out, just because it tracks my heart rate, and it's got me. I work out 4 days a week, so it's a game. And I got to close the ring. So you got your exercise ring, which I close over there because I do over 90 minutes. And then I have to walk around. You have to have movement. You get 1,000. You got to burn 900 calories, which I do. And then you got to stand up 12 times a day. So I don't take it off my wrist until I play the game. I close all the rings. But I'm over there, and I try to talk, a couple people. I said, "Did you know there was congressional hearing? Did you watch?" He said, "Oh, I believe it. I believe government's got UFOs." No, that's not what I'm asking. Do you know? So I got some of these congressional papers. One congresswoman has it up on the thing, and it was like, you're kidding me. She released this, so I got it. I'm going to do a show just on that paper, and we're going to go through that paper. But I always try to find, like Dr. Gary Nolan. He's quite knowledgeable, and I think, I don't want to misspeak, but he's working for one of these private companies that they do their own retrieval programs, or they call down some of these crafts that I guess are just drones. They can just call them down. So what the hell is going on? I'm just trying to keep the average person just enough. I'm not going down the rabbit hole. And I don't take everybody. There's some channels that are just completely dedicated to this. This channel is not. But it is of importance. It is not the greatest discovery in the history of the world. No, not in your life. The greatest discovery you will ever make is finding God, bar none. Changes everything. An alien, they could bring one down now, and if it walks on water, it doesn't change anything I believe in. Nothing. So, and again, if we go, well, who created the world? Who created you? Well, what if they take credit for creating the world, Lex? Then what are you going to say? Okay, but then we're still back to go, what created them? Well, Lex, you could use that on God. Who created God? Well, God doesn't exist. God manifests. God in its purest state is, what did the rabbis say in the New Testament? God is a spirit. What's a spirit? Nothing. But it's self-aware and all-powerful and is self-reflective. Yeah, where did that come from? Right, Biff? That's a good question. There is a technology called gravitics, used on a B-1 stealth bomber. Allegedly, it reduces the gravity of the flying vehicle. On the B-1 stealth bomber? No, you can't see that. You can't see it on radar. They can turn off their image. In fact, the Houthis or whatever they were attacking on the Gulf there, the Yemen, they were attacking ships. Well, they had a stealth fighter come over, a bomber, and it turned on its signature so you could see it. So they started firing rockets, which is like the worst thing they could do because they just turned it off and moved. But now they got their location. And like within, 15 minutes, they were taken out, all of them. So it's quite amazing. Let's see, allegedly, now the government's denying its existence. Well, you wait till you see this thing. Well, they even have a term for it, alien reproduction vehicle. Alien reproduction. You mean you produced one? You made one? I got the diagram. It's amazing. But you're saying it's gravity. Well, you're not saying it's anti-gravity, are you? Because they're looking into that too. Because because they do. There's no sound or these massive, large objects are there's no noise, and they just hang in the air. It's a electrical 6-charge outer skin on a stealth bomber. Electrically charged outer skin on a stealth bomber. Okay. Well, don't give away Air Force secrets. 1 hour, 52 minutes. Come on, we're going to do 2 hours here. So I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm going to get rid of these PDFs. And I clean out my, I'm going to start cleaning out my, I did do a lot of prep, but I just forgot I had those other audios. Oh, Biff is clarifying. Yes, at first articles appeared claiming it reduced gravity. Well, then it shouldn't burn as much fuel, right? They do have some large jet engines on it, but then it should reduce the fuel. And I said this on another show. Can you imagine if Apple got a hold of that and they could make you a gravity belt, anti-gravity belt? You could only get off the floor, let's say, a foot. That'd be the worst thing they ever made. You're going to have kids. You can get as obese as you want, play the games, use your iPhone, stay online all day long. Oh, it'd be terrible, and your heart would deteriorate. Biff is sticking to his story. Right, reduce fuel. Don't be skeptical. You know, wouldn't surprise me. What would surprise you? If they have alien crafts and they have aliens, what else would, what could surprise you? Little music.
Is it NBA or NFL? 36 have been accused of spousal abuse. 7 have been arrested for fraud. 19 have been accused of writing bad checks. 117 have directly or indirectly been bankrupted at least 2 businesses. 3 have done time for assault. 71, I repeat, 71 cannot get a credit card due to their bad credit. 14 have been arrested on drug-related charges. 8 have been arrested for shoplifting. 21 currently are defendants in lawsuits, and 84 have been arrested for drunk driving in the last year. How many of you think NBA? How many of you think NFL? Well, the answer is neither. It's the 435 members of the United States Congress.
Ho! 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 Ow! Ho! 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 Ho!